at my face. I seen a tear from his eye. He said, "Really, I'm sorry." And he pulled the trigger, and he pulled the trigger, and I look at him and I start laughing.
On today's episode of AMA Podcast with Chris and Milos, we had the pleasure of speaking with two-time Arnold champion William Bonac, and this was all made possible from Leo. Rest in peace. Leo and I spoke about how he would be such a great fit for the podcast. Leo said nothing but great things about him as a family man, him and being very loyal to his friends and operating at a high level of integrity. We appreciate his time because we know he was 2 weeks out from the Arnold Classic. We talked about contest prep history, a little bit about where he was from, how he grew up, how he started powerlifting, moved on to bodybuilding. He's won every show he's wanted to win, outside the Olympia, of course. He's working with Chad Nichols, and he's going into the Arnold Classic, which was generally unplanned. He decided actually the last moment to do that, and Leo had a lot to do with his decision to make that happen. Everything's coming together great for him for this prep. He's happy with the package so far. Despite some of the rumors going around with his kidney issues, everything's under control, and his coach knows, and he's obviously taking his health very seriously. It was a breath of fresh air having him on the podcast. I wish him and his family the best of luck. Check out this podcast. Do not miss it. One of the best stories ever at the end. And please subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, comment below. All right, back for another episode, AMA Podcast with Chris and Milos, and we have the pleasure of speaking with 2018 Arnold Classic champion, William Bonac. How's it going?
I'm good. Thank you, guys. Thank you for
Hey, Chris, you have to say 2020 also, not just 2018.
Oh, it's 2022.
Yeah.
Oh, 2020 as well. My fault.
No,
When we talk about William, he placed first or second in all the Arnold Classics that he entered. I mean, let's face it, I said publicly last year he was second to Brandon Curry. Everybody on earth saw him winning too. So, and then I do remember also, William, when you 2018, I flew back from US to Australia, and you went there and you played second to Rolly Winkler, which was a surprise at that time. But you established yourself as like Arnold Classic is your thing. Like back in the day, you know how Flex Wheeler never won the Olympia, but he was winning multiple Arnold Classics.
True.
Kevin Levroni, right?
Yeah, true.
And here you were, and I said, like, you beat Big Ramy the year when he won the Olympia.
2020, yes, that's true.
You're that good. How is your prep going now?
Prep is going very good, very, very good. I had a talk with my coach yesterday night. Even this morning, and he was really surprised, like the way that I look around this time with the weight as well, so we are doing good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a fan. So I'm a fan. I'm also a coach, and I was ex-competitor. So I always ask. Dennis James told me going into the Olympia last year, you guest posed in his show in Germany, right? And he said, Milos, that's the biggest, leanest, freakiest Bonac that he saw you. And going into the show, I was seeing you there as a top favorite. Like I got you there second to Ramy at one point, and then I said, the Hadi Chupan is always competitive with you. So I said top three for sure. But for me, there was something missing.
A lot of us missing.
Okay.
At the show day, of course, show day. Yeah. So let's say maybe the show day. Maybe if I stepped on stage the Wednesday, it would be different. I hear a lot of people say maybe it's because the flight that I flew out too late. That's not an issue with me. I don't have that issue, holding a lot of water through the flight. Because normally most of the shows that even the Olympia 2017, when I placed third, I went to the United States on a Tuesday because we missed our flight on a Monday. So we got there actually on a Tuesday night, So, and I still placed third. So that doesn't say anything. It's just we missed, we got to know each other. My coach needs to know my body. He got to get to know my body. We are working now just a year now with each other, and everything was going well. And then the last week, I think let's say we missed our peak.
It happens to all of us. It's like sometimes you can't predict this. But Boston showed that you won. I think you went from Arnold Classic back to Europe, and then came back to Boston like night before.
Yeah, that was the reason why I did that, because I was not expecting to lose. I didn't came there to lose. I was expecting to win the show. No matter what, no matter that I place out of the top 5 at a year before Olympia, no matter that I knew that the top 2 contender was competing at a show. I see pictures. I see people posting pictures, and that actually helps me. That. Seeing that, I can tell myself, oh, he ain't ready yet for me. You understand? Oh, I still have time. You understand? They ain't catching up yet. So that's how I look. Oh, when I see someone impressed, I'll be like, shit. I need to get my, I need to get like, my back done. I need to get like my legs done. So these stuff kind of actually, it's like doing a trade, but you know what's going to happen already. You understand? You play on that. You understand? So that's how I kind of do it. Yeah.
What did you say?
Go ahead. William, you were working with Chad Nichols now, and you said you've been working with
him
about a year, right? About a year?
Yeah, still working with him.
Yeah. So you've done 2 shows with him so far?
No, 3 shows. Actually, two and a half, because the Arnold last year we started working at 5 weeks out, but that made a huge difference. Yeah.
Good. Now, let's clear up this kidney infection. I know people talk about it and everybody's asking you about it, but I read about a recent interview. You said, you made the decision to make some protocol changes, which is obviously smart, and things are clearing up, which is great. But I always like to have more benefit of the athlete to tell the story, because you know how people are. They attach to something and they make it completely negative and they blow it out of proportion.
Yeah, if they took the time to check out the whole interview, they wouldn't have come with that. And those that do, they just out for some clickbaits, that's all.
100%.
So, so there's nothing wrong with my kidneys. I did my blood work. I was the first to do my blood work, so, and everything was all right. To my own surprise, actually, because I've done off-season since last year. After the Arnold Classic, after my operation, I was in my off-season mode. I've never done off-season before. So it was all new to me, and I grew from 105 kg to 120 kg, and everything was good. My blood work, everything was good. And then I talked to Chad because I wanted to do the Arnold Classic. I was approached by the Arnold. I wanted to do the Arnold Classic. And he advised me, like, listen, let's not do this, let's wait, clean yourself out, and then let's closer to the show, to the Olympia, we can find a show and do that show, and then go straight into the Olympia. And actually that was the best idea, but, this is such a big show, and I really want to win my 3rd one, because I don't see if I ever can win the Olympia. So, and the Arnold, I've won it before, so I know that I can do it again. So, and that was more my point. And the liver thing, or the kidney thing, it is just inflammation. It's just a little bit, even if I didn't, for instance, even if I was just taking creatine, I would still have the same issues.
Right.
You understand? Right. So, and I know 100%, every one of us who stood on stage at Olympia has similar issues. But some of them, they don't even check it. They don't even know. You understand? Some of them, they do and they know. You understand? So my approach was, I still can compete. I still can take all the stuff, orders that I need. But why would we, if we can do it a different way? So that was more the approach. And my coach was like, listen, if we're going to do this, we have to take them out. You understand? Because if we keep doing that, you might maybe get second, you might maybe place 3rd, you might not qualify for the Olympia, and we want to qualify for the Olympia. And plus, not only that, like, I'm getting older as well, so I can't run with these young guys anymore, so I got to play it smart, so that's what
you're only 40, right? You're 40 years old.
Yes, 40 years old, yeah.
That's a youngster, man. I'm serious.
Yeah, but compared to the new generation, I'm a veteran. I'm gray and all that.
But honestly, I'm going to tell you this: there's a lot of guys that reach the peak in the late 30s and then early 40s. I mean, the way I look at you, I say backstage at the Boston, myself and Regan Grimes. You remember when Regan and I was touching your biceps and shoulders and everything? I mean, when you're in a sport forever and then you see this kind of quality, it's very few people that have what you have, that dense quality muscle. Chris, you don't understand. Regan was competing and he was speaking at Bonac, and any which way he moves, I mean, there's just fibers going into biceps. And he goes, shit. And he wanted to go, I want to touch it. Because nowadays, when people don't have even clear tie-in between the muscle, and then you can't see any striations. I mean, you're epitome on that super high quality. But you just said you were 120 kilos, which is 265 about,
Yeah, I would never do that again, man. It was the worst time of my life, bro.
Because you competed as a 212 originally, right?
Yeah, true, yeah.
Yeah, so...
At 120 was too much. It was too much, but we wanted to see if we could reach that, and to hold some muscles, but most of the muscles we lost anyway, so, yeah.
See, you're a top 5 Olympian, like 5 years in a row. And how many people has actually accomplished it? Very, very few, especially nowadays. So I know how people are, and then as soon as you slipped one time, like, oh, it's finished and over. And then when you came back last year at Arnold Classic, shocked everybody, won that the Boston show. I mean, I just want to mention the name because we have lost him. Leo and Longevity, God bless his soul. I didn't know that he had some influence on you, and whatever influence he had, that really warmed me up to him so much, because I had like a little issue with him. But I'm saying, wow, that guy is actually, very nice guy and caring. So condolences to your loss, because I know that you guys are friends. But whatever he did, he inspired you to come back. And now you're mentioning the age, but I would tell you, you have another 10 years. You have a Dexter Jackson in you. This is the kind of quality you will have. I'm sorry that I touched the.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I know. I do want to mention. I know it's hard, but I think it's important. Leo is actually the one that made this happen, William. I've been on his podcast before. I talked to him on and off through WhatsApp, and he actually reached out and he's like, man, who would be really good to have come on the podcast? It would be William. And I'm like, yeah, really? I'm like, that'd be great. And then, I remember talking to him, I made some notes, and some of the specific things he said, this will probably get you choked up. He said that you were one of the most authentic people he's ever met. You're very family oriented. You're very, you have a lot of integrity. You're a man of your word. And he just all around said, outside of you being a bodybuilder, you were a phenomenal person. And that's somebody that he thought that, like, dude, you got to get this guy in the podcast. He's a great dude. And this is actually 3 days before, God rest his soul.
Thank you, man.
But yeah, man, I'm glad to have you on here. He was always very nice to me as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I ask you, man?
To be honest as well, he's the reason that I'm doing this interview, because normally a lot of people approach me and I say no, because I'm just tired to always come over negative and people twist up my words and people looking for clickbaits. I'm like, if you want to make money on your own. Don't try to use my drama, my unimperfections, to make videos. And because he said, like, hey, maybe this would be good for you, and I said, okay, bro. And when he passed away, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. If he advised it, I will do it. But honestly, normally I wouldn't have done this. So,
we all love you and respect you, William. So, don't even worry about us trying to use something. I'm a fan, and in a few times that I had a chance to talk to you, I've seen what Leo is talking about, authenticity, right? He's straight shooter, friendly, try to make a difference always. But just thinking about, you're from Ghana, right?
Yeah.
It's a western part of
West Africa.
And Cameroon is there, Nigeria is there, and all these athletes, like a UFC fighter Francis Ngannou from
Yeah.
Cameroon, and then Adesanya and Usman, and now
Yeah.
you and
Yeah.
Samson and Andrew. I mean, there is like so much physical superiority. I mean, you guys, I don't know. When you were growing up there, was any in your family so muscular like you? Genetics?
Yeah. My father's kids. So my father had about 24 plus children. And I was one of them with my mom. And so I have brothers that look like similar like me. They never touched weight before. One is living in Italy.
That's crazy.
Bobby, he never touched weight before. And he looks like a bodybuilder. He's older now. He's like I think we 5 to 8 years older than me. So, but he always looked similar like me, and I was training hard, in my early age, and he never touched weight, and he still looked like a bodybuilder back in the day. So, yeah.
So you pack on weight easy.
I pack on muscle easy.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean.
Yes. Yeah, I have difficulties on packing weight, but I pack on muscle easy. Yeah.
When we say weight, nobody ever really wants, let's say off season, eat big to get big. Nobody wants to get big. We want to be muscular. So it's a blessing. I mean, okay, I'm going to ask you, you were known also initially for crazy legs, and then there was a moment like that you lost a little bit because of some injury, but then they say, oh, William cannot make it, and then you made them back.
Yeah.
It's completely back at your best. So what injury was that, and how did you overcome that one?
It was, I think, like a blocked nerve. So it was like because I have problems with my with hernia in my back and abs as well, and I was training when I was young. I was doing a lot of deadlifts and that kind of stuff. And one time it just fucked my back up, and since then I always have pain in my lower back. And but I still do like bent over rows, still deadlift, and then sometimes it's just once I stop the exercise and I want to just stretch myself, it locks. And then I'm just fucked for a week or 1.5 weeks. I can't sit, I can't stand, it's hurting me. And so I have it like once in a year, sometimes it skip a year, then I have it like, every other year. But this time it got worse, it just, after a week, I thought this was going over, but it got worse, and it just proved it just went because like this is my big glutes, and just what they explained to me. And beneath that, I got like a smaller glute, and the big one was squeezing the smaller one. It got stuck, and it was squeezing them, and it got stuck inside. So it got nowhere to go, and it was pushing on a nerve. So that nerve was connected, with my lower back to my legs, the side of my legs, the abductors, and it went to the inside. And that one was blocked. So there was no blood. There was blood flowing through it, but minimum because it was blocked. So it was like drying out. And each day it got worse until I went to the, to a specialist, and they started helping me like 3 weeks out before the Olympia because I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't train. And they were doing some needle shock therapy. And that kind of helped me a little bit, because my nerves just got fucked. And because of that, it was like blocking an artery and there was no blood flowing through my legs. So I had no connections with my leg as well. I could walk, I could pinch myself, and I couldn't feel it on certain area of my leg. So I could just squeeze in it and I couldn't feel it. And I was doing leg extensions in the gym. And I said to my training partner, I can't lift my leg. He said, what you mean? I said, I can't lift my leg. And I was trying to lift it up, but it wasn't working. It was like going a little bit up like this, and then I did it with my right leg, nothing wrong, so I told him, bro, I think I fucked up my leg, so from then on, we started doing the sessions, therapy, and I just forced myself. I had like 24 hours pain. And the therapist told me, when you go to the show, you can go to the show, but please don't try to bend down or whatsoever because it's going to be difficult to get up. And, when I pose, most of my posts, I like to, go down on my knees. So, so I did it anyway. It was in 2019 for the Olympia. So I did it anyway. Thank God, I didn't feel that pain because I was so, I don't, maybe the adrenaline, I think that got me through it. So yeah, so after that, it was healing a bit by bit, and it took like 2 years, 2.5 years before I really got back to myself, before I really could train, before I really had the same strength in each leg. Yes. And then from there on, I started training a lot of alternate exercises as well. So training with one leg because it was no use to train with both of them, So yeah, and even when I trained with both legs, I was focusing more on my left leg, just holding it with the right leg and more pressing with the left one. And that's what I did, twice in a week. Yeah.
That's a very hard injury to come back from when you have nerves. Very, because the muscle's not firing. It's not firing, right?
The therapist even told me, like, for average people, it would take them years to recover. To me, he said within 1 year, your blood will start to flow again, and then it will, slowly come back to itself. And that's what happened, because it said, like, each month or each day, it will go like each month, it will go like maybe a centimeter in front. And I had from all the way from my lower back to my knees. So I had a long way to go. Yeah.
That's very respectable. I think there's a lot of people that probably would have already given up by then, but you did not give up, and you got your legs back.
Yeah, thank God. And the funny part is that leg is stronger than the right leg right now, and even a little bit bigger. So
it's like all that focus, right?
Yeah,
all that focus.
True.
Because you learn to put the weight on that. You say you push with two, but one is actually
you focus on work. Yes, exactly.
But are you? I mean, you look like you're a heavy duty guy. Nobody can expect that you can build this kind of thickness and density doing some lightweight. So probably, you were doing a very heavy back in the day, right?
Yes.
And now, do you have still want to go heavy, or
I wanted to be a power lifter, not a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I wanted to be to do like competition as a strongman, and that kind of stuff. But my height was the problem. I was too
how
short,
heavy did you squat?
I could squat without, my heaviest is 280 kg. And that was just to impress my friends in the gym. That was just stupid, no belt, no knee reps, just coat. Yeah.
That's like 6 plates, right?
Yeah. 280 kg. I don't know how much plates that.
Yeah. 60. Yeah, 630. Yeah,
630 pounds. No belt, no knee wraps.
That's a 6.5 plates. Yeah. Your legs look that way for sure. But now you are.
I would never risk that.
No risk. I was saying this. I mean, we all love Ronnie Coleman, of course, and
he was my big motivation. This was a big motivation. Go to the gym, to my work in the morning, looking at his videos. Couldn't wait till I get off my job, so I could go to the gym and work out. Yeah, and that was a lesson as well. Sometimes, like, I feel bad that it happened to him, but at the other side, it opened a lot of young guys their eyes. Like, you understand, this is where you can go, but this is the price that you have to, pay for it. So, yeah.
Too much risk, and it's, nowadays, especially because you turn 40. I want to tell you this story. My father was a doctor, and he was always looking at me as a teenager lifting weights. He goes, "Wait, hotshot, wait until you're 40." and I'm just thinking, like, really, what is going to happen at 40? He never lifted weights. I'm lifting since I was 17 years old. By the time I'm 40, I'm going to be so much stronger than I,
Yeah, that's what you think. Yeah,
that's what you think. Wear and tear, it starts like at 40, and then it becomes really even worse at 50. But many guys, Dexter Jackson included, right?
Yeah. Also, your bones, get weaker as well.
Yeah. But you can. That's why you're saying, like, you're not so young anymore. I see you compete for another, 10 years if you want to be.
Oh, 5 years, bro. 5 years maximum. 5 years maximum. There's not going to be a second Dexter, not here.
Yeah. That was actually going to be a question of mine, but you just answered it.
Nah, 5 years maximum. If it was up to me, financial wise, if I had it, like, everything that I wanted to do, I would have quit right now. Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted. Yeah, excuse me.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, like I don't. The only thing that I have to prove, is the number one of the Olympia. Although I've won all shows that I wanted to win, all the big shows that I wanted to win, aside from the Mr. Olympia. My highest was the second. So I don't have nothing really a lot to prove to anybody. For me, it's a job now, and it's more to take care for my family because I got a lot of family, big mouth to feed. So that's the only reason that's driven me right now. Yeah. Because the passion is still there, but not like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably when you started, you didn't really even think so much of prize money. You competed because you won a challenge. Yeah.
Yes, through yourself and the others to show them like, hey, you are, able to stand with the best on stage. Yeah, definitely.
But now it's $300,000 online that you have a realistic possibility of winning. So you see, I was never really at your level winning the shows and being second at Olympia and stuff like that. So my mentality...
But you guys were in another area, bro. So maybe if you was in our area, you could have won the Olympia 3 times by now. So, yeah.
But you see, but this is what I'm saying is because you are going into this show and you have very realistic possibility to win that money. And that like you said, feeds a lot of people, right?
Yeah, true.
So I'm sure that you are trying that much harder, this little extra motivation, because you're that close. With the hype, how they usually go is highest placing Olympian, supposed to be a favorite. Hey, they can flip-flop, as you know, like this. I mean, you beat Rami and Dexter in 2020, and then Rami came back and won it, and then
Olympia
was a top guy. So this is always a possibility. You feel that your prep is going exactly like you want it?
Definitely. Like you always want to do better, and but for me, like I said, my most confidential thing is seeing those other athletes posting.
Hello. Hey.
You just come from school. Yeah. So it's seeing the other athletes, posting their stuff and seeing where I'm at. You get me? So that's my kind of motivation. Like, we good, and also the feedback from my coach, like, messages like, bro, since we be working, I've never seen you like this, with this weight. And, that just, pump me up. And, because sometimes I'm a human as well. Sometimes I'll be like, I'm not going to make it. I'm tired of this, it's taking too long. You understand? I've been on prep for so long and this and that. I want to have some fun with my kids, without worrying about, hey, I got to get my meals in now. You understand? And yeah, those kind of things, you miss it, but like, hey, if you do well, you understand, they will all benefit from it. You understand? After this, I could go every weekend with them to a party or to a playground or whatsoever. So
it goes in history and your legacy. I'm telling you because I'm retired, 59 years old. I remember all those shows, and I remember some of those shows going to. I was maybe like you. I don't really want to do it. Is this worth it? Maybe I never regret doing any of them. I did the 72 pro shows, right? So I'm looking forward to see, because I'm going to tell you this. You beat Brandon at last year's Arnold Classic, and in Boston, nobody was close. There was William was in a league on his own. This is how really it was. I'm going to tell you. Did he freeze? Yeah.
Oh, he did freeze. I didn't even. Milos, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, the battery fell out. He's going to be back on in a second. Anyway, 2018, I believe I saw him in person. That's the year he beat Dexter, right? Dexter was second?
2019. No, 2020. 2020 was...
Wasn't 2020 the year that COVID occurred and nobody could spectate?
Yeah.
Then it's 2018 that I saw him win. Or maybe...
Well, but 2018, he also won. That was the year he won there and then lost to Rolly Winkler in Australia. But Dexter was second 2018 also.
Yeah. I thought that was the first time I really got to see William in person and like talk about, as you said, muscle striations, separated, like the most 3D human being I've seen in person in a while,
So thick. I mean, crazy. The side chest. I mean, his muscles have a muscle. Really, it's like one of those things. But 2018, I mean, Rolly Winkler was, I think, fourth, and then he went to Australia a week later and beat him. Cedric McMillan was third, right? So just imagine William, Dexter, Cedric, Rolly. What kind of lineup that was. I mean, going to this year's Olympia, this is a tough lineup. You know, when he comes on, I know that they're looking as Nick as a front favorite, and then Big Ramy, being Big Ramy, you know, trying to come for redemption, right? You know, he is not competing to repeat what he did, and he's being coached by the same coach, you know, Chad. So of course they have high hopes to redeem themselves. But I have my guy. Obviously, I see him last night. Samson, super motivated, and
I feel like, I mean,
so guys,
no worries, William.
Yeah, the battery was
yeah.
You're back.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't want to keep you too long. We'll end it in about 10 minutes for you. But we're just talking about some of your appearances. Like the first time I saw you in person compete, I've never seen somebody so three-dimensional before. You know, the side chest, the thickness. It was just like, wow, it's very impressive. And that was 2018 Arnold that I watched you.
You awesome. Remember that show? Because second was Dexter and Cedric was third.
No, second was oh yes, true. That was
that's how it was.
Yeah.
And that's a goddamn lineup. Like, oh my God. You know, so you're going into the lineup. This year lineup is tough. You have a Big Ramy that is being coached with the same coach, and I'm sure that as a team, I mean, you were kind of always super friendly with the Ramy and competitive and going back and forth. So I'm sure that you're looking forward. Both of you guys want to be at your best. You know that Nick is highest placing, of course.
On paper,
And on the paper, he would be favorite. Which I don't agree, but you know, what can you do? And then, you know, I have my guy Samson, and then there is all your you know, genetics. You know, you guys are coming lions from there.
Africa.
That's right. It's super competitive. It can go either way, like so easy. That's what pisses me off, and people don't understand. Okay, well, but William wasn't in the top 5. Hey, 2 days later, he could have fucking beat him, maybe under just a little bit different peaking.
Yeah.
And this is how it is. You know, I've been dealing with this since late 90s. Ronnie Coleman was placing like 9th.
Out of the top 10 even.
And then 1 week later, he beat all of us in Russia. Remember, you won one of the Russian shows.
Yes. I qualified with that show. Yeah.
You were very popular in Russia too, I remember. But so you do have in your heart, you have a feeling you can walk away with the Arnold Trophy.
I have a feeling that I can walk away with the Arnold Trophy.
God bless you, man.
And like the way I look, like you know, I have a good feeling about it, and I have a good feeling about Samson Dowd as well. If he keeps doing what he's doing and keep his head up, you know, and he definitely will. And I've been always saying that I've been always rooting for him, you know, and I think like last year he should have placed way higher. And I told him even that backstage, you know, hope you remember that. And
he remembers everything.
Yeah.
He remembers. He was overwhelmed with your friendliness and sincerity, authenticity. I mean, I'm sure when you're going to see him. Yeah, he is.
I'm watching these guys, so I'm quiet, but I'm watching everyone. You know, so.
What I think is great about the Arnold is right after Olympia, when we realized that there wasn't many people attending the Arnold, everybody was kind of like, right? And then all of a sudden, one by one, people start adding the roster. And now Arnold right now is like super exciting.
Yes,
you know?
you'd be more excited than Olympia.
100%.
It is. I think that all of you guys are going to look better than you look at Olympia. All of you.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, we've been on a longer prep as well.
Yeah.
Longer in the prep phase, so it has to.
You did this many times. Okay, let me ask you, because a lot of people complain about me competing so often, like oh no, you enter so many shows.
We did that as well. But back in the days when they were working with the other federation, they split now. But before, it was like a tour after the Olympia. We went to Spain, we went to Prague. They even had a show, the Mr. Olympia in Germany. So we did sometimes in a year, we did like 6 to 8 shows. So that was like 5 years ago. It was a normal thing until they split. And then there was lesser shows to do. And we are living in Europe. We can make the expenses every time to fly over to the USA, take a hotel for a week. We have to eat. You understand? These are all costs. That's when you compete a lot, overseas, it costs too much.
That's the thing. You touched the subject. You live in Holland, right? In Amsterdam.
True. Yes.
Okay. So I would just assume that now promoters are paying for all your flight and hotels. Because
they're paying for the flights. And they're paying only so when you get invited, so like Olympia and Arnold, they're paying for the flights. And they will also, if they choose your flight, if you choose your own flight, you will get like $900 reimbursement. That's what I learned this year. So now I'll just let them book my ticket for me. Yeah. So if they book it for you, they will pay the full price, at least the Arnolds. And for the hotel, they will pay 3 nights. The Olympia as well, I think, 3 nights. They will only cover up 3 nights for you. 3 nights is not enough. But it's still better than nothing.
Yeah, better than nothing. Yeah.
And still, you have to eat. Don't forget, we have to eat as well. Yeah.
And it's not your hometown, so you have to find the food that costs so much more. It's more difficult. I know. See, Chris, what William just touched. Back in the day when he started, he had to pay for all the expenses. So it's easy for guys that everything is paid for. But when you spend more money that you can make money on the show, and then you have to do it the second time and third time and fourth time.
Yeah.
People get discouraged, and then it's like,
True. Yeah. And if you have a family, a wife, and kids, what do you have to do with them? They can never go on vacation because all the money is going to your sport and your prep and your travels. So it's not fair against them. Yeah.
You're in a position now that you're hopefully making good money, and you have those possibilities. I really want to encourage you. We are all fans. Listen, there's no single guy in bodybuilding that you mentioned, William Bonac, that we all don't praise you. I say, you are every bodybuilder's bodybuilder, right? You are hardcore, dance. Like, you can't see this kind of quality. Even first time when you get on the scene, you came out of nowhere. I know people from Australia was like, "Oh man, you know this guy." I say, like, I never heard of it. So let me see, like, where did this come from? I mean, Jesus Christ, you appear on the scene with this kind of thickness and maturity. Where were you competing before?
I was competing different federations.
Yeah.
I was just where I could go. I went there. I didn't know about the IFBB yet. I didn't know about the NPC yet. So I was competing. I did a show in Holland, my first show in 2008. I won that show. I couldn't post nothing. I was just looking what the other guys were doing on stage. And I won it. And then the other federations started pulling on me, and that's how I got a wild card to the NPC in Holland. And then I started winning shows there and won my pro card 2 years later. And I even did some shows for the federation I think in Italy, Sapri, on the beach. I went there twice, 2009 and 2010, or 2008 and 2009, one of these two. Yes, I won there. I did a show with Tommy Torvitsen. He was a pro, and I think he got injury, and he was there at that show. He was one place ahead of me. And I was just an amateur, but I won my amateur division, and they asked me if I wanted to do the pro divisions. I said, yeah, of course. I think I won even €500. I placed 4th or something like that behind Tommy Torvitsen. Yeah. So then I came back to Holland, won my pro card with the NPC. And from there, everything started. Then I took like a year off, and then I started building. I did a 2-on-2 class for 1 year. placed third, my first show. And then I think fifth, and then sixth in Prague. And then I moved over to the open class, because each time we were at a meeting, they put me in the open category. I never heard my name in the 2-on-2 class, so I saw that for the third time. I saw that as a sign of God, to switch from class. And that's what I did.
But did you hardly make 212?
There was even one specific time in Prague, I didn't make the weight and I wanted to cut off my hair. And I was like, fuck no, I'd rather starve one day than to cut off my hair. So,
oh my gosh.
So I starved myself a day, and I think I placed fifth at that show.
Don't cut your hair. That's your trademark. That's
yeah. It's going to take a long time to grow back.
You said, tell me to be honest, I think you won a Nordic Pro a couple of times. Right?
Could be.
You won
that time that I met him, it was in 2009, I think. And as later on, when I Googled his name, I saw that he was also in the pro with the IFBB, and that's how I kind of, figured him out, because I didn't know who he was. I just saw a big guy, and and that was even his decline at that time, because he got, I think, a tear, chest tear, bicep tear, something like that. So he couldn't compete, among you guys anymore. So he went to the amateur division and, did some pro shows for some federations around the world. Yeah.
Chris, I got to tell you this about William. I hope you don't mind me saying, but no, I remember that story so deeply when you told me that you actually got shot. Somebody shot. Do you know the story, Chris?
No.
Oh, do you mind?
I was 14 years old, ridiculous strong for my age, and the older guys in the neighborhood, they didn't like me because they couldn't beat me. And I always did my thing. There were a lot of gang related in my neighborhood, and I was always doing my thing. And I had some friends as well. And I always came up for my friend, and a friend of mine had an issue, came up for him. And then I had an issue with the guy, and he was my neighbor. He was a friend of mine, because otherwise he would never even got that close to me. And the other guys that didn't like me, the older guys, gang related, they were like in the 20s. And they actually, he wanted to be a part of them. He was 17 at the time. He wanted to be a part of them so bad. He was beating up every day. I see him, I help him. I always help him when I see the guys were beating him up. And then, he wanted to prove himself. One day he was standing with those guys. He asked me for a lighter. I give him a lighter. I said, where's my lighter? Because I need my lighter back. He was talking tough to me. I don't have your lighter, with a cigar in his mouth, like he's Al Capone or something. So I just instantly, me knowing me, I just bitch slap him, and he started threatening me, hey, I'm going to get my gun. And I knew he had a gun because he showed me once. I said, go get your gun. I will take your gun and slap you with your gun. So he went back home. He came back with his gun. And I said, so what you going to do now? He couldn't do much. He didn't, he didn't talk. He was just walking around a bit nervous. So nothing happened that night. The next day I see him from school. I said, you still going to do something? He still ignored me. And so I was like, if you start something, you're going to finish it. So each day I was just, bullying him, you have to do something. You talk, you have to do it. And then the third day, the Friday, so this happened on the Wednesday, and the Friday I got shot. So the Friday he came off school, and I said, so you still going to do something now? So he said, okay, come here tonight. I said, I'm not going to come here anyway tonight. You want to do something? Let's do it now. So we walk in a park, 200 meters away, and a friend of mine, he knew about the situation, and he put the knife in my back pocket. I told him, I don't need, no, he gave it in my hand. I said, I don't need this shit. So as I was walking behind him, he put the knife in my back pocket. So as we were walking, I took the knife out of my back pocket and I threw it in the bushes because I didn't like weapons, So we went to the park. We were standing there, and I look at him. I say, this is your chance to prove yourself to your friends. I say, shoot me. So he put a gun. He looked at my face. I seen a tear from his eye. He said, really, I'm sorry. And he pulled the trigger, and he pulled the trigger, and I look at him and I start laughing. I was laughing so hard, he just, he saw a madman, and he just turned around and he started running. And I said, are you done yet? We are not done yet. So I start running behind him. And then he turned around, he stopped, he pointed, because when we were walking there, I told him the only way to kill me is between my eyes. That's the only chance you're going to have. So I think he remembered that. So he turned around, he pointed on my head, and I just dodged to the left. As soon as, like, I don't know, I heard a shot, I dodged to the left. Kept running towards him. I heard another shot, I just dodged to the right. And I kept running to him, but he just stood up, he ran away, he was too fast, and I was sweating. But it was not sweat, it was blood. And I didn't know that at the time, so I didn't even know I got shot. I felt something, but I didn't know I was shot, because the adrenaline and all the stuff. So I walked back and my friends came running towards me. They said, "Are you hit?" I said, "No, man, I'm good." And then one of my friends, he was like feeling on me, and then his finger came in the hole, one of the holes, because it was in and out. And then he said, "Will, you got shot," So when I saw that, I saw the blood coming out a little bit. Then I started stressing, I went totally mad. I was like, "I'm gonna kill this motherfucker," and I was like walking around the street screaming, "I'm gonna kill this one," because then I realized, like, hey, he heard me. So my friend, another friend of mine, his mother was living upstairs. They saw everything, so they came running downstairs with a blanket, and I didn't want to lay down. I was just totally so mad, so aggressive, walking around, and she was like begging me to lay down. So eventually I laid down, and it took 45 minutes for the ambulance to come. My friends came there. Yeah, the police came after 20 minutes, because when somebody gets shot, they have to wear bulletproof vests. That time they didn't wear bulletproof vests, so they have to go back, wear bulletproof vests before they can come to the scene, But nowadays they wear bulletproof vests all day. But as soon as they start a shift, they have to wear the bulletproof vest. Back in the time, they didn't do that. So so I was laying there, and somebody called my sister, and my sister came and crying, and she went down, on the knees, and then the knees touched exactly my wound. Yeah. So the blood was like coming out more, and then we knew where the hole was, so they were pushing on it. And the police came, they said, "Are you gonna be okay?" Blah blah blah. And then eventually they put me in the ambulance. After 45 minutes, ambulance was still there waiting, like 20, 30 minutes. And then more friends of mine came, and they were like angry, like, "Hey, why don't you go to the hospital with them?" So they were like kicking on the ambulance and hitting the ambulance, and the police couldn't control them. So the ambulance had to leave. So the ambulance left then, and there was a shorter way. I could be in the hospital like 10 minutes time, but they took another way because they had to go over the bridge. And, at that time it was like 3:00 p.m. So that time is like, how you say that? Traffic,
Rush.
Like, yes, rush hour. So They were like, if we get stuck on the bridge, we're in trouble, So they went through the city under the bridge, and they went to the hospital. So it took like 10 minutes extra, like 20 minutes. I got into the hospital, or 25 minutes. And then by the time I got in the hospital, it was like 2.5 hours after I got shot. Yeah. So I told him, listen, I told him the pain is so, you have to give me something. I said, it hurts, and then, we have to wait. They were like feeling where I got shot all the time, and then I just passed out. So from then on, I don't know what happened. I just woke up on a hospital bed, and my mom was standing next to me, and I was hearing this song. And when I die, I keep on dreaming, and all those bright lights, you understand? So I thought I was dead or something, until I saw my mom next to me. Yeah.
That is a crazy story. It's funny how I've broken a lot of bones, and like when you break a bone at first, there's no pain. You're like, oh, true. And then the pain comes after. A couple hours later, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, especially when you see it as well,
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, so yeah.
I mean, that's interesting.
And after they said to me in the hospital, I couldn't walk. I had to go like for the validation for at least a year. I got in the hospital Friday. I was supposed to stay in the hospital for months because and my mother had to pay for it. You understand, all the stuff. And I knew my mom didn't have money because she was already struggling paying for my sister's college. So I told them, I'm good. I want to go home. They say, no, it's not possible. You cannot walk, nothing. The Saturday morning, I stood up myself because they were coming with, they don't wash you there. You understand? They just put some hot hot towel. Yeah, dip your, your armpits and that kind of stuff, your ass, and they leave, So I stood up. I went to the bathroom. I went to take a shower, but I couldn't stretch. This side was like bent, so I was like holding my wound so that water wouldn't come on my wound. And I just washed myself, went to lay in bed. The next day, the same day, the police came. They do the, what they have to do, what happened, blah, blah, blah. Yes, they brought me the bullet. They say you want it. I said, what the fuck do I want to do with it? So they took it again. They took it with them. And like a souvenir. How stupid is that? You want to remind me about this every day? So the next day, the Sunday, I said, listen, if you guys don't let me go home, I will go home by myself. So the next day, they released me because I didn't want to make any cost for my mother than it already was. So I was sitting in a wheelchair when I left the hospital, but I still could, when I got home, I still could walk. I just forced myself and walked the stairs because we were living on the second floor with no lift. So I just walked, left the wheelchair down because it costs money. The longer you take the thing, you got to pay for everything, So that was the only thing in my mind. No, I'm not going to leave my mom with all this cost. So I just went home. Even though I wasn't even recovered, I couldn't walk properly. I just recovered at home for 3 months. And after 6 months, the wound healed and I started going back to school. Yeah.
This is a crazy story.
Can you visualize it? Can you?
Yeah. I can visualize everything.
Because I remember when, I don't know who was next to us when you said the story, and William was chasing after the guy. After he shot him, I said, "What?" And started chasing after him, and then guys turning around and shooting him, and he is dodging like a goddamn movie.
Like the Matrix.
This uncle of mine.
I forgot what happened later with this guy. Did you?
Yeah,
meet
I met him. Like that time, I was also in a gang as well, and after 6 months, he got released because I did no charge against him, and he was 17 years old. I was 14, so he was before he's 18. If he was 18, he would have stayed longer. Because he was 17, they gave him a lower punishment. And he was lying. Yeah, he was scared of me and blah, 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 bullshit. And the way they did it, he said to them, like, the first bullet was real. He said he didn't know that the first bullet was real. He thought it was a blanket because they put 3 bullets in the gun, and this is not his idea because he was not that smart to think that way. So this is somebody that's older, even like older than me. This has to come from his parents or his stepfather. I've always thought that his stepfather had something to do with, gave him maybe the plans or what to do, you understand? Because he was too dumb to figure this shit out. And even the friends he was hanging out, they were too dumb to figure this shit out. So they put like 2 blankets and 1 bullet. The first bullet was a real bullet. The 2 bullets were blankets. So this was his excuse. I never knew the first bullet was a bullet. I thought it was a blanket as well, because I wanted to scare them off. That's what he said. So he got away with 6 months because of this excuse. You get me? So if he killed me, he would have still got 6 months, maybe 7, 8 months, and he still got away with it. Yeah, because he said it was blankets and he didn't know there was a real bullet in it. And because if it was like 2 real bullets, 1 blanket, they would say no. But now it was like 2 blankets, 1 bullet. You understand? Yeah, so so if you figured it out, it was like a good move. Like, nobody would have found out. You understand? So yeah, and then I met him 6 months later, and my friends, they were all carrying a gun. I hated guns. I love shooting. Like, it's like my favorite sport. I love shooting, but I hate guns. You get me? Okay. So, and my friends were working with guns illegally, and I said, nah, man, I don't want this stuff, So I was always bare hands because I could fight. And then I saw him, and then I was trying to pull the gun of one of my friends. And no. There are cameras here. I'm like, why are you worried about the camera? It's me doing it. You understand? And no, the camera here. And he looked scary. It was like, he knew what was about to happen. And then a friend of his stood in front of him. You understand? And then they just walked away. And that friend who stood in front of him, like 2 months before he got out, I met him like at a neighborhood party, something like that. And he came to me, he said he got shot as well, I think a year before. And he told me, listen, I know how you feel. I know how it is to be shot. And he was like 18 years old. I was like 14 years old. I remember that. He was like, yeah, I understand that. And I know you are hurt. You want to get your revenge. But just promise me one thing. Whatever you do, please don't do it when I'm around. Like, you understand? You can kill him, but please don't do it when I'm around him. You understand? Because I don't want to get hit and I don't want to get involved with it. That's how he came over. So then I saw like, oh, he's a bitch too, you know. So that's how I saw it, you know. So after that, even years after that, let's say even 15 years after that, I still wanted to kill him, you know. And that was the time that I was doing good in bodybuilding. And then it was my birthday. My sister invited me to a funeral of a friend of ours that we didn't see for a long time, a female. So I went with my sister, and then I told her about my plans. I had everything arranged. Nobody would have ever noticed that it was me, you understand? Because it was so long. It was like more than 20 years ago, you know. So everything was planned. I had the money for it. You know, nobody would have directed to me. So I was ready to do it. And I told my sister about it. And my sister convinced me not to do it. Yes, and this was in 2017. My sister convinced me, Will, he's not even worth one penny of you. You know, let him suffer. You understand? Let God deal with him. And that's also, and still, like, I listened to my sister, but it still went here and out here. And that day, I met my fiance, Sien, with whom I got 2 kids right now. So that was also one thing that changed my mind. Like, she got pregnant, you know, and she just changed my life as well. So I was like, you know, this shit is old. I'm still alive. You understand? I'm doing good. They didn't expect me to rise like this. All these guys that I was dealing with, they're all losers at the moment, you know. So I just left it up to God. And yeah.
William, this was a phenomenal podcast, phenomenal story. I didn't expect that. And I want to be really respectful of your time. I know we're a little over the time here, man. But listen, again, I really thank you for coming on. You know, I really appreciate it. I'm glad I got to have this conversation. I didn't know a ton about you outside of bodybuilding, but after this interview and talking to Leo, you know, it obviously opened up to a whole new arena. And I think sometimes podcasts need to humanize us more, right? You know, because so many podcasts is just about bodybuilding, what he has or doesn't have. But talking about your family, you know, what changed your mind, that story, it kind of all puts it together, you know. Milos, you have anything to say in closing?
William would have a bunch of more stories, trust me. I can imagine. But yeah, this is one that shocked me, and I always visualize it. That's why I wanted him to share it with you. But William, I mean, we're going to be at Arnold Classic. I'm going to be there, of course. Looking forward to see you. I'm a big fan, always been, always will be.
Thank you.
You have that something special. If everything goes to plan, obviously you can win. You know, so but you have 5 guys legitimate they can win, right? So I hope that you and Chad, you know, get the formula together and you at your best. So I see you there. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you guys.
Enjoy your family. I see the little girl was there. It's so cute.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
William, do you want to mention any sponsors or how fans can reach out to you?
Yes, my Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me, my email, of course, is William Bonac. This is William without the A. WilliamBonac.com at iCloud.com. It's a little bit strange, but that's my email. For my sponsors, you know, I'm working with Panata. It's a gym equipment, you know, so really appreciate them worldwide. And of course, right now I'm with Jaffa Labs as well. So yeah, thanks to these sponsors and thanks to the IFBB Federation, you know, for letting us do what we love to do. Yes.
Awesome.
And to the fans, of course. Thank you.
Yeah. I really appreciate it again, William.
See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.